lanes, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the
July 21st, 2024. The airwaves are shocked. What has happened? The US President, Joe Biden, is stepping down from the election as president. What has happened? The mainstream media, the social media, it's all screaming loud. The news is out. Joe Biden is stepping down. Political analysts, the media, every interested person is talking. But their main concern is, what next for the US? What next for the Democrats? Who will replace him? But for me, as an African enthusiast, one thing comes to mind. What do we learn as Africans of this matter? What do we learn? What lesson do we pick from it? And that is my talk today. That is what I address today. Local politics take another toll. At home, Biden is facing some pressure. Remember, the Republicans are the opposition at this time. Donald Trump, louder than before, but he is facing a lot of charges. And at some point, a convicted felon. But he's still up and running, going for an election that is to be held in 2024. And now Joe Biden has come under pressure. One factor is mental state. He has been seen fumbling. Some incidents that have been recorded and some reported about him that seem to depict that the age might have caught up with him. Joe Biden, born on November 20th, 1942, about 81 years old as I make this video. One major incident that makes the Democrats to rethink their position, the presidential debate, hosted by CNN and Joe Biden. Go, Joe.
Sure that all those things we need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare, thank you.
Decisions, hard decisions, have to be made, and Joe Biden has to make one. And so what happens? He makes it.
He drops out.
And we can see this from his statement on X, formerly Twitter. He says his intention was to run for re-election. But taking into account the concerns of his party and the concerns of the citizens, he had to make this decision. Just like that. I come back to the focus. What do we learn as Africans from this matter? Number one, citizens must be concerned with the affairs of their country. Again, citizens must be concerned with the affairs of their country. And this is why Joe Biden is stepping down, because the members of his party are concerned that when they go ahead with him as their candidate, then they might lose it. The party will lose, and to some extent, those who consider Donald Trump unfit to run the country as president, consider that the country will also lose, because when they present a weak candidate, then eventually a candidate they consider incompetent on the other side will then get to go through easily. So citizens are concerned about the affairs of their party, the affairs of their country, and that is why they are actively involved in how the party, the country is run. And when they see something, or they see a situation that they perceive will not do them good as citizens, will not do them good as a party, they raise their voices, they raise their concerns. And now that has been the problem in Africa. We have had this problem as Africans, that a majority of people in Africa are not concerned. We are not bothered whether people who are elected in power are doing things that are not permitted by law. They are acting against the Constitution. We don't care. We are just there. We just want to live our lives. And one good example is my country, or the Republic of Kenya. August 2022, we went to elections. You know what happened? More than half of registered voters did not turn out to vote. And we learned it the hard way, that when we are not concerned about the affairs of our country, when things go wrong, we all pay. We all pay. When things go bad, we all feel it. When leaders are sent to power because some people just sat down and said, it doesn't matter whether I vote or not, it doesn't count. By that, you allow leaders who are incompetent, you allow leaders who do not have the people at heart to come into positions where they make decisions that will affect you. The point I'm raising is that we have to be concerned. And that is one thing I like about the US, that when things are not going well, the citizens call their leaders to account because they are concerned. They acknowledge that when you speak out and make your voices heard, then things can be corrected. Whereas here in Africa, the mistake we make, we allow things to go wrong by our silence. When things are going bad, we are quiet. We are not concerned. We don't care. I'm not saying all of us. I'm just saying a majority of us. We are quiet. And after things have gone wrong, and now we realize there is no turning back, we are direly affected by this matter. That is when now we take action. So it shows that we are not very concerned. We are number two. We need to build strong and effective political parties. Now, I know people may have different debates about the US democracy and how they run their affairs. But one thing I really like about the US structure is how strong the parties are. Because the parties would call individuals who are leading those parties, or individuals who have come to power through those parties, they will be called to account. And now, why is President Joe Biden stepping down? His party, the Democratic Party, has raised concerns by the occurrences that have happened in the last year or the last few months, and in the last few weeks, and especially after that presidential debate by CNN. They saw it that Biden would come out as a weak candidate, and probably his opponent was just going to sail through. When the members of the Democrat Party voiced their concerns to their party, the party had to take action. Now remember, before Joe Biden took this decision, some of the vocal and high-ranking party members, like the former President Barack Obama, had raised concerns and given a suggestion that probably the right thing would be for President Joe Biden to reconsider and step out of the race. And this had been going on for some time. And because of the party structures and the party discipline that is there in the US, you find that democracy is actually very strong. Now, let's come to Africa. What happens? Number one, the parties that we have, they are merely people coming together, but the political party in most countries I know, they are owned by individuals. An individual says, this is my party. So when you don't agree with my position as the party leader, you walk out. And by that, we cannot have a strong democracy. Because anytime someone comes up, you have seen it all over the news in most of these African countries. Anytime someone comes out to say, to maybe a member of a party is disagreeing with the leadership or the ownership of the party, they are kicked out. And it makes our democracy weaker and weaker and weaker. And there are several examples that we can give. Today, I'm just giving a general view that we have weak political parties in Africa. And because we have weak political parties, we cannot have a strong democracy. Because democracy, I believe, should actually begin from the grassroots level. Look at our party nominations. How do we do them? Is there really fairness when we are nominating candidates in the parties? Is there fairness? Is there democracy from that level? I'd confidently say no. So the US, through the action taken by Biden, teaches us a lot as Africans that we need strong political parties with strong and solid structures. And that in itself can help us to solve the governance issue. Before even the whole country gets involved, the party itself should be able to take action against ill governance, against bad governance. And we have seen this in very many other incidents. We have seen it with the Democrats, where party members have not agreed with the positions of their parties, and they have not been kicked out of the party because of doing that. No. What happens in Africa? In most African countries, the political parties we have, they are merely people's properties, and that should change. We need to have strong political parties that can take action on their members whenever they are wrong, that can address the governance issues in their parties and in the country. Because if a member of your party is involved in corruption, there is no need for you as a party that believes in good governance and in democratic principles to support somebody accused of corruption. As a party yourselves, you need to take action. And by that, we will build good governance and a strong democracy in Africa.
Do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get more of related content.
Number 3, what do we learn? And I tie my point number 3 to my first point, that every voice counts. That is one thing we need to learn as Africans. Every voice counts. Now, remember before Joe Biden came up with this statement, there have been some individuals who are members or supporters of the Democratic Party coming out and calling him out to drop out of the race. And Biden still had this ambition. He still believed that he could make it. But at some point, we even saw an individual coming out to hold a poster telling the president to reconsider his stand. And as people continue speaking about something they feel may not be in the best interest of their group or of their country, surely those voices, however small, they are heard. And this is something that we have to embrace as Africans, because a majority of, especially the middle class in Africa, they feel so detached from the occurrences in their countries. Yeah? And this is one thing that has been affecting us as Africans, because it is only a few individuals who come out to speak against bad governance. Only a few individuals come out to speak against bad policies. It is only a few individuals who come out to speak against things that are really disadvantageous to the general public. Number 4, and I'll finish with this, that those who are elected in power and those in leadership positions, and by extension, every citizen of every country, love your country. Love your country. Love your country. And to those who are in leadership position, you have to put the interest of your country above your own. That is one thing we learned from Joe Biden. Put the interest of your country above your own. I feel for Joe Biden. I do. Because this is a man who is shelving his political ambitions to go a second term and maybe stamp his legacy the more. But for the sake of his party and the voices that are speaking about the concerns they have with his candidature, what does he do? For the sake of the nation, he agrees to step down. Not an easy decision. If only the leaders could put the interests of the country and the interests of the citizens above their own, then I think it would help solve a lot of the problems that we have in Africa. And number one being the problem of corruption and bad governance. I do believe corruption and bad governance does happen because those who are in position to rectify and correct these ills either support it or are culprits or just don't care as long as they achieve their goals and their personal vision. And that is it's something that we have to think about and think about deeply.